Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dave Kane. I'm the Tehama County Sheriff. We're here today to discuss a case update in regards to an incident that we briefed on with the media last week. On November 30th, 2024, at about 3:30 in the afternoon, CAL FIRE responded to a possible structure fire in the area of the 22,000 block of Kraft Avenue. It's in the unincorporated area of Corning. Upon the firefighters' arrival, they located a deceased female, later identified as Raquel Lua Hernandez Arcos, within the residence. CAL FIRE notified the Tehama County Sheriff's Office, and detectives with the Tehama County Major Crimes Unit responded and initiated an investigation into the circumstances surrounding Ms. Hernandez's death. On December 3rd, 2024, an autopsy was performed, and Ms. Hernandez's cause of death was determined to be a gunshot wound, and her death was ruled a homicide. During the investigation, detectives were able to identify Carlos Alberto Perez as a suspect in Ms. Hernandez's murder. Detectives learned that Mr. Perez had been stalking Ms. Hernandez for several months prior to her killing. Detectives determined that on November 30th, 2024, Mr. Perez arrived at Ms. Hernandez's residence with a firearm. Mr. Perez made contact with Ms. Hernandez and shot her, resulting in her death. After the killing of Ms. Hernandez, Mr. Perez attempted to conceal the murder by setting the house on fire using an accelerant and then left the area. On December 4th, 2024, detectives located Mr. Perez in the Corning area and placed him under arrest for murder. At the time of his arrest, Mr. Perez was in possession of an unserialized firearm, commonly referred to as a ghost gun. Mr. Perez admitted that firearm he possessed was used during the commission of the murder. Mr. Perez was booked into the Tehama County Jail, where he's being held currently. The Tehama County Sheriff's Office would like to thank investigators from CAL FIRE and the Corning Police Department, as well as the California Department of Justice, for their assistance in this investigation. I personally would like to thank the Tehama County Sheriff's detectives, whose relentless investigation resulted in this rapid arrest. At this point, all evidence and statements in this case point to Mr. Perez being the sole suspect involved in this case. We'll take a brief series of questions if you have anything additional that we can follow up on. George?
Did she ever file restraining orders or alert police to this stalking incident?
Yeah, we determined the stalking as a part of our investigation, but there's not any indication that there was anything preceding that.
How did you learn? Was it from family that you learned that she had been stalked?
During the course of the investigation, investigators spoke to a number of witnesses, which identified that she was a victim of stalking, and evidence was found during the course of the investigation that would support that cause.
And what, is Mr. Perez, does he live in Corning? Is he from Corning?
He does reside in Corning. Currently, he is homeless in the Corning area.
And has he ever been arrested before that you know of?
He has been previously arrested, yes.
Can I keep going? Somebody else? I'm not sure if you already said it, so sorry if you did.
No problem.
Can you tell me how they two knew each other? How did they close the relationship?
Yeah, I won't get into the nature of the relationship. As is customary in these type of cases, we still have a long road. We've made an arrest. There's obviously due process and court proceedings, and disclosing too much of our investigation could hamper those efforts in the future. So at this point, we'll kind of keep that to us until which time we get through the adjudicated case, and then we'll provide all the details that we have during the investigation. You're welcome.
Has this been turned over to the DA yet?
The preliminary arrest has been turned over to the district attorney's office. The assistant district attorney was present when Mr. Perez was brought in to our office for questioning, and the district attorney's office is supportive of our arrest and prosecution of Mr. Perez at this time.
I'm impressed at how quickly you were able to make an arrest. I guess a lot of that was based on witness statement.
I'm going to give a lot of the credit to our investigators. They worked tirelessly on this case. They developed many leads during the initial course of this case. They were able to put to rest many of those leads over time. And in focus came the suspect, Mr. Perez. And when they found that out, they utilized their investigative techniques as well as technology that we have available to us to focus on Mr. Perez. And during the interview process, Mr. Perez admitted to his involvement. Anything else for anyone else? We are happy that we did get the speedy outcome in this, not just for Ms. Hernandez's family, but all the residents of South County area. And we are, again, confident that this is an isolated incident between Mr. Perez and Ms. Hernandez.
Was the autopsy done here, or was it?
It was.
And did it say what type of weapon was used?
And we're not going to disclose that at this point, as it could hamper the prosecution type portion of this case.
Did it say how many times she was shot?
Again, that is something that, you know, the more we produce, the more the opportunity for change of venue or things of that nature. And we feel that we don't want to jeopardize that. We'd like to keep what's necessary in-house until which time we start the prosecution portion of the case and go to trial.
I swear, one more question. When you arrested Mr. Perez, was it at a residence or was it at a homeless camp?
He was contacted, not at a residence. He was contacted in the Corning area, at which time he was immediately found to be in possession of a firearm and arrested and brought back to the office for questioning at that time.
Do you have any idea when he'll appear in court?
It's customary that he has to appear in a certain time frame. He was arrested yesterday, so I would anticipate that would be probably Friday. Yes, sir?
I don't know if you said this or not, but do you know where she was shot physically?
She was shot in her upper torso.
You can't say how many times?
No, sir. Anything else? Anyone else? I don't know the answer to that.
What would you say as sheriff to women that are dealing with stalking incidents so they don't become victims like this?
Yeah, it's a great question, George, and I appreciate it. I think that, you know, in these cases, you can never be too careful. I think we've heard it many times. If you see something, say something. This is one of those cases. If you believe that you are being stalked, if the signs are there, if you have these weird feelings and somebody pops up over and over and over again, please make sure to make a report to law enforcement and see if, you know, that this is something that we can head off in a different method and before it becomes a violent encounter like it did in this case.